see an arbiter and you think my life is one of quiet authority. You believe peace is found in the absence of a fight? Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the mastery of the storm within. You cannot silence the abyss, you can only teach it your song. Master your storm. That is the only peace that truly endures.
Chasca, the Skyborn Arbiter and Natlan's Peacemaker of Conflict. Her name comes from the goddess Chasca in Incan mythology, known as the Morning Star. Chasca was believed by the ancient Incas to be the goddess of dusk, dawn, and twilight. She was highly respected by them as the protector of beauty and flowers, and occasionally regarded as the goddess of love. The colors Chasca wears on her outfit is actually a direct reference to the colors of sunset, sunrise, and twilight. All of these were the colors associated with Chasca. You can see it in many parts of Chasca's design, like her cape, hat, accessories, makeup, and even her hair color. The blue color in her design is believed by the Incas to represent spirituality and the sky. The red color symbolizes strength and sacrifice. The black color, a big part of her outfit, symbolizes mourning and death. This is a very sad detail. But what's really interesting to me is that Chasca doesn't have anything white on her outfit. White is the color believed by the Incas to signify purity. This is likely because Chasca is tainted by the abyss, most likely forever. Or, even worse, it might be an indication that deep down, Chasca still remains traumatized by the abyss and will probably never recover. Chasca genuinely has one of the most depressing backstories I've ever seen in Genshin, but Hoyoverse really likes to hide them under these diabolically long read-only texts, and I think it's really unfair to these characters. Chasca, the peacemaker of all conflicts, was not always the peacemaker. In fact, she was quite the troublesome child. Because of its constant war with the abyss, Chasca, or any other Natlan child being an orphan of war, is not unheard of. In fact, it's quite common in Natlan. Chasca was adopted by a Kukasaurus named Chimpu, alongside her daughter Koya, whom Chasca became good companions with, even to this day. Ever since she was a child, Chasca, even though well-fed by her Saurian mother, would go out on her own to hunt, usually getting herself hurt in the process. Little that we know, her desire to hunt didn't come on its own. We later learned that the reason for this was actually abyssal corruption. The more she hunted, the stronger her bloodlust became. When Elder Alpa first brought Chasca to the tribe, she was introduced to Cusco and his wife, who wanted to give Chasca a loving home to live in, come at a heavy price. Living as a Saurian, Chasca never understood what it means to love like a human. This caused her to get into fights with them, stealing and stirring up trouble wherever she goes. At the same time, her abyssal corruption got worse, driving her bloodlust into its most dangerous state, to the point she can no longer find rest. Not until she begins fighting humans. It was at this time she earned her famous nickname, Vulture. Desperate to find a cure, Chasca and his wife would take turns going on long trips to find medicinal herbs that might cure Chasca's illness, all to no avail. By this point, Chasca was constantly away from home, and his wife spent less and less time with Choicha, not because she didn't want to, but because she already spent most of her free time finding a cure for Chasca. Choicha and Chasca didn't always get along either. There was a point where Choicha even hated Chasca for taking away her parents' time with her. Choicha's friends spent less and less time with her because they were scared of Chasca, which was the salt to Choicha's wounds. Eventually, Choicha begins to feel empathy for Chasca, and it was through their love that Chasca was finally able to understand how humans love. When Chasca ran into the forest to get rid of herself and her abyssal corruption, Choicha intervened. And this was the very thing that made Chasca alive. To this very day. This was the very turning point that made Chasca want to fight the abyssal corruption within her. Chasca did not receive her vision until her first battle in the Night Warden Wars, where her abyssal corruption worsened and manifested as an illusion of herself. It was through the power of peacemaking, taught by Elder Alpa, did Chasca begin to come to terms with people and even her own abyssal corruption. It was at this point she learned of the greatest dispute yet, one involving herself and the abyss. When she finally confronted it, a vision manifested as one of her bullets, and from that day on, she vowed to quell all disputes. And as you can see, guys, we've reached the end of this video. I hope you liked the video. Write down in the comments what you think of Chasca's story and whether you got the character or not. As for me, unfortunately, I haven't gotten her yet, but I'm trying my best to get her, because honestly, a character like this, with a story like this, I can't possibly miss out on her. So, wish me luck, guys. Your support with likes is the only thing that keeps me going, so I hope you support this clip with a like, share the video everywhere, and if you want to see more Genshin stories, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for your support, and goodbye.